I think we can go ahead and get started as people come in. I'm Casey George. I'm the program director of the online PhD. That's a new program here at the University of Louisville. We're very excited to be launching it. I'm also an associate professor in higher education and student affairs at the University of Louisville. I've been here about 10 years. And this is a program that we've been working on for the last several years, and we, again, are so excited to be launching it. This is the inaugural info session for the inaugural cohort. So you're all the first group to be learning about the program that we'll be starting this summer with the first cohort beginning their studies. So I will be giving a formal presentation in just a second, but feel free to ask questions in the chat if there's questions that come up during the session. We have a lot of people online, so I think we can save main questions until the end of the presentation. We'll have a Q&A time, but if you think of questions that you want to come back to, feel free to drop those in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer those at the end of the formal presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and get the slides pulled up so that you can see what we'll be going through. So just to clarify, the actual program itself is an online PhD in what we call ELOD, so Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Within the ELOD umbrella, this program is specifically focused on higher education administration. So as of now, this is the first online PhD at the University of Louisville. This is something that we tried to be innovative with in developing it. I can talk about the motivations of what led us to creating this program in just a second. But your actual degree, if you pursue this program, will be in education, leadership, and organizational development with a specialization in higher education administration. In terms of the kind of overview of the program, I want to highlight a couple key aspects of the program. When we were thinking about our traditional PhD program, which has been around for decades, we realized that it was limited in some ways in that the people who attended the program had to either move to Louisville or the area or already be living here. And so when we think about access and equity to higher education opportunities and to learning opportunities and helping develop professionals, we wanted to broaden that access and opportunity to others who may not be local to the Louisville area. And so a lot of us in the program as faculty, we prioritize access and equity. We prioritize providing opportunities to students to learn and grow. And so this seemed to be a logical step to be able to offer this program so that those individuals who might be interested in pursuing a PhD in higher education administration could obtain that degree without having to relocate here. We also were thinking about individuals who are already working in higher education or with higher education entities. So individuals who might be further along in their careers, they might have many years of experience under their belt. They have aspirations to enter into leadership positions at their institution or other institutions, and they're looking to gain additional skills in terms of not only leadership, but also in terms of research to help support their decision-making in their institution. So we're really looking at developing and designing and offering this program to individuals who maybe perhaps cannot relocate to Louisville, who are already in their careers and do not want to pause those careers, and who bring lots of experience in terms of their own professional background to the table in terms of thinking about who is going to be in the classes with the other peers and what kind of is going to be learned by your peer network once you're in that cohort. We also wanted to really think about developing research skills that inform effective practice. When you walk away from our program, we want you to have the skills, knowledge, and experiences that are going to enable you to not only be innovative in creating change and positive impacts in higher education, but we want to be able to do that in a format that's flexible and supportive to you. So it's balancing the structure of the program with the goals of the program, but really enabling you to be prepared to be an innovative change leader and to be an innovative leader within higher education in the future as you continue on in your career in higher education. With the program design, we were specific in creating a cohort model so that you would have peers from around the country who would bring in all of those diverse experiences and perspectives to the classroom and to your in-person experiences. So this is not a model where the members of the classes are going in and out, or where you might be seeing some individuals in some classes but not in other classes. This will be a cohort model where you're working with peers, not only of individuals who might be here locally, but individuals who are around the country who are going to be learning and working together. The program is pretty rigid in terms of the structure of it. So with that rigidity, you have the benefit of completing the degree in as little as 4 years. So the way the pacing is structured, which I'll go into more detail in a little bit, it is designed in that you can complete your PhD in as little as 4 years, depending on your dissertation project and the length of your dissertation project and carrying that out. But most students we are anticipating will be able to complete from day one to defending their dissertation and graduating within a 4-year time period. Critical to the design of this PhD is gaining hands-on research experience so that you are not only successful in your long-term trajectory within higher education using research in your career, but it's also going to help build up your preparation for a successful dissertation. So starting those research experiences early on in year one and carrying them through the additional years of your program will not only set you up in terms of just your overall skill development, but in designing your dissertation and in executing it. And then throughout the program, we also purposefully wanted to provide executive style supports to help you focus on your classes, focus on your research, focus on your learning, and on everything else that you have going on. So obviously, you're working, you likely have family, you have personal lives outside of the program. So we wanted to be able to provide supports and just little things that would help ease kind of the tedious aspects of doing a PhD so that you can focus on classes and your research and life outside of the PhD. So this includes things such as we will go ahead and register for you for all of your classes. All books will be mailed to you in advance of each course, and all software licenses will be provided to you when it is time for you to need those utilities or those tools. So again, just to recap the highlights, we're looking for experienced professionals. We are really emphasizing throughout the course and the experiences within the program, research and leadership. The flexible online delivery is going to allow you to attend this program regardless of your location. We also will have annual in-person events. That's going to begin with an orientation in your first semester of your first year. So for the first cohort, they will come in person to Louisville in June of 2026 for a couple days to network, to do some socialization to the program and to each other, and to also to kind of have some in-person classes and workshops to help support their onboarding into the program. And then additionally, with that cohort model and providing executive supports, you'll be able to learn with each other and to have additional supports provided so that you can focus on your program and your life outside of the program. In terms of who our faculty are, these are the faculty members who will be leading what are called research labs. So again, research is an emphasis in this program. We are definitely integrating research experiences within each of the years across the program. So beginning in year one, you will be assigned to a research lab. So think about the overall cohort being about 20 to 22 students, and then think about having a smaller group of peers and a faculty member designated to you that you will be working in terms of a research lab. So in terms of the 4 members, including myself, you'll be able to focus on student experiences in campus environments with Dr. Buckley. I'll be focusing on equity and experiences in higher education, including sense of belonging and perceptions of discrimination on campuses, and thinking about policy outcomes and equity within policy creation and outcomes. If you're working with Dr. Gross, you'll be thinking about pathways to opportunity. And if you're working with Dr. Sun, he has a legal expertise, and so you'll be looking at civil rights and liberties in terms of how things like free speech operate on campuses. You will also learn from other faculty here at the University of Louisville, including Dr. Taylor Pratt and Dr. Josh Wallace, and other higher education practitioner experts who will come in and also be contributing to the classes and to the overall program experience. So again, beginning in year one, you will be assigned to a subgroup according to a research lab. And within that research lab, you'll be gaining additional hands-on research experiences that will build towards your dissertation and let you practice research as you're in the program. So this is, again, a critical aspect of our program of the PhD is really that hands-on experience. And in regard to the research labs, you're guided by an experienced faculty member, and you have a smaller group of peers within the cohort to work with more closely. You all may be wondering, what do the online courses look like and how do we work our way through this program in terms of the expectations of courses? So unlike our traditional PhD program, the online PhD program is pairing courses together within a single semester that are designed to complement each other. So thinking about taking a course such as College Students in the US and an Introductory Statistics course, where you would learn statistical methodologies and apply them to your understanding of college students in the US. You could also take legal issues in post-secondary education paired with a qualitative course that is going to help you learn how to do qualitative research in the legal and policy realm. So we're purposefully pairing courses 2 at a time for each of the 3 semesters during your program so that you are practicing research while you're learning that topic area. So that's kind of the purposeful pairing that distinguishes this program from our traditional program where students can pick and choose the courses that they take in what order. We are also delivering these courses online. There will be asynchronous modules followed by a synchronous session every 3rd class. So if we can imagine a syllabus, you would have 2 modules that you would do independently, guided by the faculty member within your Blackboard shell, and then you would join a synchronous session virtually for that 3rd class. So you're learning online, but you're not going to be alone in that learning. So thinking about kind of toggling between time where it's super flexible, you can jump into those asynchronous modules as you have time, as what works for your schedule and your family and your work obligations, and then followed by an evening or an afternoon with your peers in that class where it is a synchronous session for that 3rd class. We are also only going to ask you to manage 1 class at a time. That's one of the things that we have been innovative with here at the University of Louisville, in that we offer 8-week courses for the fall and spring and 5-week courses in the summer. So you only are going to take 1 class at a time. Again, you might take a topic area, say in the first half of fall, followed by a methods course in the second half of fall, where they will scaffold and complement each other, but you're only focused on 1 class at a time. You still complete 2 classes per term to keep you on track to graduate within those 4 years, but you only kind of focus-wise have to think about 1 class at a time, even though you're scaffolding that coursework within the courses and across the courses and working towards your dissertation. Your assignments, the modules that you're working through, the time commitment in terms of those synchronous sessions, that is only 1 class at a time. And then one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at the University of Louisville, and specifically within the Higher Education and Student Affairs program, is that we are super committed to your success. We want you to succeed not only within each class, but overall in the program. And so that we are not only supporting you in completing the program, but in preparing you to go on and achieve your aspirations and your career goals after you complete our program. We really do try to provide holistic support for you and help you develop professionally and personally in this program. So things may come up in the next 4 years as you're studying, as you're in the program, and we are always committed to your success. So we try to work with students as things come up to help support them, but we're also thinking about your overall development within this program and what skills and experiences you're going to gain by participating in this program. And this is just a sample schedule of classes. This is available on the mini site of the website of the program itself. But this just gives you a snapshot of year 1 and year 2. So if we think about your first semester, what would be summer of 2026 or the summer that you begin your studies, you would begin with a doctoral seminar in education leadership. That is to help orient you to what doctoral programs are, expectations that we have for you in that program, how to work effectively in small groups. We'll start to look at how to be effective consumers of literature and of scholarship, and we'll start to build your skills in that doctoral seminar that will help set the foundation for your program moving forward. That's the first 5 weeks in summer of 2026. Then the next 5 weeks will be followed by Organization and Administration of Higher Education, which is another good foundations course to begin your studies with. From there, you can see the partnering of a methods class with a topic area class. So you'll take college students in the US with applied statistics in your second semester of year one, and then education policy and equity and multiple regression in the spring semester of year one. So this just gives you an example of how the courses will progress. But be thinking about taking one at a time, but having them scaffolded and connected purposefully so that we're reinforcing not only your understanding of topics, but we're also giving you opportunities to practice those methodologies as you move through your program. The milestones and expectations that you will have to achieve and accomplish during your program are the 60 credit hours, and these are broken down into core classes, topic area classes, and methods classes, as well as your dissertation hours. So overall, it leads to 60 credit hours, or it adds up to 60 credit hours, and this is beyond the master's that you likely already have. So this is a 60 credit hour PhD program, and that is 60 credit hours after the master's that you've already completed. Once you complete your coursework, the next milestone is what we call a comprehensive exam. This is where we're asking you to create a draft proposal of what you envision your dissertation to be. If you're thinking about other programs, you're considering other PhD options or EDD options, you want to think about the milestones, but also what the purpose is. So for our program, we are purposefully designing that to be something that is of use past just completing that exam. Other programs might have you regurgitate information or answer specific essay prompts. This exam for us is a draft of your dissertation proposal so that we can give you feedback early on, and we can continue to help you develop your ideas moving towards that dissertation project. So you'll have a chance to take the comprehensive exam in year 3 of your studies, and that will be, again, as a cohort, all of you will take it at the same time, and it's at the end of your coursework. Then you will have your dissertation proposal. So building off of the feedback provided from your comprehensive exam, you will then modify your document from your exam. You'll continue to incorporate new strategies, perhaps refine your research questions, tweak your methodology, and so forth, and you will create your dissertation proposal. Once that is defended in front of your committee and successfully passed, then you're cleared for your dissertation. So just that fourth step, last milestone, that's the smallest one. That is the last step in your dissertation, or in your PhD. So completing your dissertation will be the final milestone, but I want you to remember that with the research emphasis in this program, you're gaining research experience beginning in year 1. So by the time you get to your comprehensive exam and your dissertation proposal, you probably have a really good sense of what that dissertation looks like. You have experience conducting research, and you have a supportive research lab that is going to help you with that dissertation in terms of its design, and perhaps even in terms of structuring the data collection and thinking about how to work within the research lab effectively in terms of those broader topic areas that were talked about earlier. So it is, again, you're learning online, but you're not alone with all of these different structures. That dissertation, it is still an individual project, and you'll be executing it as an individual student, but you have support structures to help you get to that point and help you complete your dissertation in a supportive way. In terms of the application materials, I know some of you have already started your application, which is great. If you have not already, the graduate school application form itself and the application fee are required. We also require all transcripts from prior institutions. Even if you went and just took one class at a community college in undergrad, we still require all of those transcripts from all prior enrolled institutions, and 2 letters of recommendation. And these are likely going to be from peers or from supervisors or from prior faculty members. But we were looking for 2 professional letters of recommendation or academic letters of recommendation from someone that you may have taken a class from. The next set of documents is really a way for you to show us who you are. Tell us more about yourself. You can provide a resume or a CV in terms of your professional experiences, your journey in terms of where you have been and where you what experiences you've worked in, what institutions you might have worked at. Provide that resume or a CV in addition to a personal statement. This is going to be about 1 page, And we want you to really talk to us about why you want to pursue this PhD, why you're interested in this program specifically. You can also indicate maybe what research lab you would like to learn more about or to enter. But we are really looking for, like, why are you applying to this PhD program? How is this going to help you in your career? How is it going to help you achieve your goals? And why specifically this program at the University of Louisville, and why the University of Louisville? We are also asking for an analysis essay. So this should be about 8 to 10 pages. It could be a report that you've written for work. It could be a past paper written for a master's class, or some other sort of creative document or products that you have delivered for a project or for some other outlet that shows us your writing, it shows us your critical thinking skills, and it shows us your potential in terms of your writing skills and your scholarship, and how you're thinking about problems, how you're thinking about presenting information to an audience. And so that essay, it can be from a variety of different sources, but it should be a single authored piece from you, but it could be related to work or school. And then your last piece is going to be perhaps an interview with our faculty members. That will be at the discretion of our faculty in terms of what we review in the application. So some applicants will be invited to interview with us as well. GRE scores are entirely optional, but some applicants want to submit those in addition to their other materials. If you have a GRE score that you would like to submit, and again, this is entirely optional, we ask that it be pretty recent, so within the last 5 years. And then any additional academic or creative works that you might think will help tell your story, help show your skills, help show your motivations, and your interests in terms of what topics you might want to pursue within your program, and within perhaps the research lab. So again, these are optional items. We're not expecting all applicants to submit all of those materials or even any of those materials. But in terms of the first 7 items, beginning with graduate application and ending with the analysis essays, those are all required documents to be considered for this program. There will only be one application deadline per year, and that will be January 15th. And so we encourage you to begin your application early. We will follow up with you in terms of if a letter is missing, or if we still are lacking your personal statement, or we're missing a transcript. We can help follow up with you in terms of submitting those additional documents, but make sure that you are applying by January 15th to be considered for this first cohort. Okay. Okay, in terms of program costs, this is specific to how you are going to be classified in terms of being a regular graduate student at the University of Louisville, or an active duty military personnel, somebody who is serving in the military. So for graduate students, general graduate students, most of you will pay the general graduate student tuition rate, which is $850 per credit hour, and you'll be taking 6 credit hours per term. If you're active duty, your rate is reduced to $250 per credit hour, and again, it's 6 credit hours per term. All students enrolled in this program will also be assessed $500 program fee per term, and that again covers the books, or the mailing of the books, the software licenses, and support in terms of your in-person experiences. So think about orientation when you come here in June for your few-day orientation. It's also going to help fund experiences that you'll have here on campus as part of your orientation, and when you go to the annual in-person events in terms of conferences and things like that. You also will have additional accommodations or additional costs in terms of your travel and accommodations to Louisville if you're not local to our area, and also to annual in-person events that include a conference that you will attend once a year. So that conference moves around. It is always in November of each year. My colleagues are there right now. It is in Denver this year. So thinking about where you might be located in the country, and looking at the ASH calendar, the Association for the Study of Higher Education calendar, of where their conferences are going to be in the next few years, your travel and accommodations to those conferences will be an added expense. But there's only one annual experience per year. And the first one, will be in Louisville, and it's always going to be here for orientation.
Quick question following
yes.
up on that.
Yes.
So I know that in traditional seated PhD programs, there are opportunities for funding or for fellowships or other types of funding sources. Do online PhD students have any type of access, or at least are able to compete for those type of funding sources, or are those types of funds purely dedicated toward the seated PhD program?
It depends on the source of the funds. So I know some of the fellowships that come from our graduate school are designed for full-time students. So given that this is a part-time program, it's not so much the online versus traditional status, but it's more the number of credit hours that you are earning. So it depends on the fellowship parameters. For some traditional students, they also have access to what are called graduate assistantships, and that's when they work with a faculty member for 10 or 20 hours a week. Typically, those students are attending full-time or part-time, but given the nature of their assistantship, they are working on campus part-time. So for those students as well, that parameter of that opportunity, of that position, it is more geared towards your traditional students. But for the online PhD, I don't think that there's a specific clause in some of the fellowships or scholarship programs to say that online students are excluded from this. But we can certainly get you more information about the different opportunities through the graduate school and through our college. And so those fluctuate each year, but typically there is a process, an application deadline, a description of what those parameters are, what the eligibility criteria might be. So we can share that information with you. That's a great question.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So just to wrap up in terms of kind of some things that I want you to think about, just in terms of looking at other programs, you might be considering PhDs elsewhere. You might be considering a traditional PhD here on campus, or you might be thinking about an EDD, perhaps where you're located or at another institution. I want you to think about kind of the unique aspects of our program. That is the built-in research experiences starting with year one. I know some other programs have you do all the coursework and then they start the research experience. We're really integrating that research experience beginning in your first year to help build that capacity and confidence as you move through the program. Again, to really set you up for success in the dissertation and in your career as you continue that trajectory after you graduate from our program. Pursuing this degree from wherever you are, we are very keen on individuals not having to disrupt their careers, to uproot their families, or relocate here for this degree. We want you to remain where you are, so to speak, so that you continue on in the work that you're doing, you continue on with your family life, your personal life. This should not prevent you from being able to have the opportunity to pursue a PhD. And so we are really committed to that aspect in terms of thinking about who our students are and who will be learning in this program, but also our ability to support them so that they can remain in their careers and continue on in their professional and personal lives without disrupting those while doing the program. You also are going to benefit from having that cohort-based model. So from day one, you will have about 20 to 22 peers who are across the nation, who are thinking about challenges within higher education just like you are, who are thinking about how to problem solve, who are thinking, how do I make my institution better? How do I create more opportunities for the students that I work with or the faculty and staff that I work with? So you are going to have that network and support from the beginning, and that orientation that you'll be doing in person here at the University of Louisville will help solidify those relationships so that you can draw on each other and support one another as you move through the program yourself. And again, these are individuals across the nation, so you may have individuals who are all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I know someone on this call is going to be relocating to Hawaii. We're even going to have individuals who are in Hawaii. So thinking about having access to this network of peers across the nation at all types of institutions, working at different colleges and universities or different entities that relate to and help support higher education. This is really what the goal is of the program, is to create that network of peers so that you all can support each other, not only during the program, but have that network after as well. And given that this is the first cohort that will be starting in summer of 2026, you're helping shape this legacy of experienced leaders and innovators who are using research methods to drive change and innovation at their institution. So be thinking about what you're contributing to, not only in terms of advancing your career and helping your institution, but that you're also helping build this legacy at what we will envision in terms of the program and the alumni network that we will eventually have once the cohorts start graduating. That this is going to be a legacy that is going to come from the University of Louisville and from the Higher Education and Student Affairs program. Okay. So I want you to consider these factors as you're thinking about this program, about whether or not to apply, as you're thinking about other programs, because of course here at Louisville, like we try to support you no matter what your goals are. So if this is a match for your goals and what you would like to gain out of your experiences, that's awesome. But if it's something that helps you think about what your opportunities are elsewhere, we also want to support that outcome so that you are doing what's best for you. I want you to think about your goals and aspirations. So what is it that what type of position do you want to see yourself in, say, the next 5 to 10 years? This program is designed for people who are wanting to be in those upper level administrative positions, who want to be leaders in higher education, who are committed to that as their career, and they're wanting to create change in a systematic and research-based way. So if that's something that resonates with you, if it's something that resonates in terms of your own goals, your personal and professional goals of what you want to achieve in your career and personally, this may be a good match for you. Also be thinking about those program experiences. We've talked about the research built in from year one. What I failed to mention earlier was that you also have that conference that you're attending that I briefly mentioned, but you're each year, starting in year 2, 3, and 4, you're going to go to an annual conference at the Association for the Study of Higher Education. That's our major professional organization conference. And there you're also going to be having class with each other. You're going to be having networking opportunities with each other. You're going to be presenting research that's being created out of your research labs. You will be co-authors on conference presentations and subsequent articles and publications. Those are things that are built into this program by design. So what are your experiences going to be, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom too? And what is that going to look like? And how is that going to help you achieve those goals and aspirations that you have for yourself? I also want you to think about flexibility and structure. This program does not have a lot of built-in flexibility. So if you're someone who can anticipate that you have some major life events or changes coming up in the near future, you may want a program that is more flexible. The program is somewhat flexible in terms of the online courses and that you can participate from across the country, but you will stay within taking those 2 courses per term in the order that we have them. So if something comes up, say a family member gets sick or you have sudden childcare obligations that you weren't anticipating, if there's anything life event type things that happen in terms of pausing the program, you would need to wait to pause until the next year. We won't be having those 2 sequence of courses that say happen in the fall of year 1. They're not offered again in the spring of year 1. They will be offered in the fall of the following year with the next cohort. So be thinking about, can I sustain this pace in terms of taking 6 credit hours per term in this cohort-based model, or do I need something that's more flexible, where I can take 1 course at a time and move in and out as fits with my work and my personal life? I also want you to think about, do you want to do your program as a cohort and have that cohort structure where you're supporting one another and you really get to know one another across the semesters and across the courses, and have that smaller cohort within the research lab? Or do you want to do something more independent where you are taking your courses at your pace and you're doing it more on your own? And then I also want you to think about the costs in terms of the per credit hour cost and in terms of the program fee. So think about what works for you financially. And again, we'll be able to share out information about fellowships and scholarship opportunities and other ways to help fund that in terms of following up with that information after this information session. But be thinking about, as you're looking at different options, what are the costs in terms of completing the program, not just tuition, but what other costs are involved. Okay. So I encourage you to apply today. The QR code is going to direct you to our site, which you probably have already been to. You can also go to apply.louisville.edu/register/apply-grad for the graduate application. And like I said, the inaugural cohort begins this summer. So beginning in June of 2026, this will be the kickoff cohort. We're super excited. The next cohort will begin in June of 2027, and we'll have 1 cohort each summer for subsequent years. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen in just a second. I want to give you time to write down the online PhD_HEA at louisville.edu. That's the program email where you can reach me. But I'll leave that up for a second so that you can write that down in case you want to reach out to me after the information session. But we'll enter a Q&A period in just a second. Okay, so what questions? I guess I can start with the questions in the chat. So Ricky, thank you for adding in the conferences. So so looks like in 2026, so in summer 2026, you'll have your orientation. You would not be expected to go to ASH in fall of 2026 for that annual conference, but it is in Puerto Rico, so some of you may want to opt into that. So the first year that you would be expected to go to the conference is going to be in fall of 2027, and that is in Albuquerque, and then the following fall in Rhode Island. With the conferences, again, you'll be having cohort-based experiences within that conference. You'll be presenting papers that you'll work on with your research lab director, and you'll be co-authoring with your peers, and you'll gain that experience within the program. If something comes up that you're not able to go to Albuquerque, I mean, I'm even thinking about the flight cancellations of my colleagues and students who are now going to Denver this week. Obviously, we will work with you. There would be other assignments. You might have to write a paper or contribute to the development of that conference presentation in another way. So we understand that some things are out of our control, but those conferences are really going to provide great opportunities for you for your professional development and to establish yourself as researchers. Okay, Ricky, you also asked, how does the course schedule look if you already took some of these classes at U of L as part of your master's program or your certificate program? And that's also a good question. So these classes are all being redesigned for this program. So if we think about applied statistics partnered with college students in the US, some of you might have already taken college students in the US if you took your master's with us, which is also an online master's. Now we are reshaping what 693 looks like because we are toggling it with that applied statistics class. So it will be a different course than what you took previously. So number wise and saying it's lead 684 or 680, that would appear to be the same course, but it is fundamentally different with the redesign of this program. Okay. Let's see. Stephanie asked, is the 3-year conference attendance a requirement component for the in-person program as well? It is not. So if you're thinking about the traditional in-person program, there is not as much structure around conferences or around conducting research. So any research that our traditional students do, it's typically a one-on-one basis with their faculty advisor. It's projects that they bring up or that the faculty member invites them to, depending on if they have a grant or other opportunities to conduct research, but it is not a requirement for the in-person traditional PhD. Okay, and Jennifer asked, if you have a master's in a discipline other than higher ed administration, do you need to earn a master's in higher ed before starting the PhD? No, you do not. So the master's, we look at a variety of masters. We value masters from across a variety of disciplines. The PhD program itself is 60 hours beyond a master's degree. It does not have to be in higher education or student affairs or anything related to that. You will obviously include your master's discipline and the transcripts in your application, but we welcome different disciplinary backgrounds. We know that not everyone has a linear pathway to a PhD in higher education administration. I know I certainly didn't. I had an MBA in nonprofit management, and I then pivoted to getting a PhD in higher education. So we welcome a variety of backgrounds. I hope that answers your question, Jennifer. Okay, so Tevin, for U of L staff wanting to use the tuition remission, does that cover the $500 per term program fee? So it only covers the tuition cost. All fees, program fee or any other fee that the institution charges with the graduate courses would be your responsibility. The tuition remission program only covers graduate tuition. So the $850 per credit hour would be covered for that. So, okay, so thank you, Amy. So it's in-state tuition. So I think I just answered Lauren's question as well. Okay, thank you, Amy, for clarifying. In-state tuition, so the graduate student tuition, I think, is $850 regardless, but we can double check on that. Okay, and then let's see. Kenzie asked, you mentioned that you're focusing on those with a lot of experience in the industry. What specifically does that mean for this program? So we welcome applicants who have a variety of experiences and backgrounds, but we are looking for individuals who are probably more mid-career or have been in a position for a number of years. we're not looking for a student who maybe just graduated from their undergraduate degree and does not yet have experience working within higher education or working in general. That's not the type of student that we're looking to attract to this program. So while they do provide their own benefits in terms of the experiences of what they would contribute to the classroom, we're looking for those individuals who have had supervisory experiences, have been working in higher education or related fields for a little while, who have some work experience under their belt and know that this is something that they really aspire to do in terms of their career trajectory. So if we think about just the recency of when you've graduated from your undergraduate degree or a master's degree, depends on when you took your master's, right? But thinking about more older, more mature, more professionally experienced individuals, that's who we're looking to bring into this program. So the Courtney says the $500 per term is $1,500 for the year because you'll be registered for 3 terms per year. And then if the rigid structure turns out to be untenable, can students convert to the traditional in-person PhD? I think that would be dependent on where you're at in the program, and it would probably depend on your personal situation. So I would think that you would be able to convert to it. You would still be working with us because we are still the higher ed and student affairs faculty members. But we would want to think about when you're maybe making that switch, and then thinking about in terms of where you're at with your coursework, and then making sure that we can still support you in completing that degree, even though you're switching modalities, if you will. And if y'all have questions you want to verbally ask, Elijah's got his hand up. Thanks. I was going to say, go ahead and raise your hand. Go ahead, Elijah.
Hey, so does the university classify the 6 credit hours for PhD as full or part-time? Specifically, the reason I ask is because I'm taking 6 at Auburn, and they consider it full-time for GI Bill purposes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think we actually have somebody on this call who can answer that. Brian, did you want to answer that question?
Unfortunately, I am not a VA certifying official. I deal with the active duty tuition assistants, which for those who might be on the call, active duty soldiers and airmen cannot use tuition assistance for PhDs, but civilian tuition assistants like the Air Force offers can use tuition assistance for PhDs. But for the VA side of things, I'd have to ask my coworker because that's her specialty.
We can definitely get you that answer, Elijah.
Okay. And then lastly, is there an in-person cohort for specifically the higher education specialization? Because I didn't see that.
For the online PhD, there's only the online cohort. So if you're coming into the traditional PhD, if that's of interest to explore as well, that is not a cohort model. So within the traditional ELOD PhD, we have different areas of specialization, including human resource and organizational development, sports administration, and then higher education administration as well. We also have some ed leadership individuals in there. We're bringing back an evaluation concentration as well. Those individuals you may start together, but you don't necessarily progress as a cohort together. So people bounce in and out of those classes depending on the pace that they're taking. Everyone starts with LEAD 710, the doctoral seminar course, Introduction to Doctoral Studies. All students, regardless of modality or what specialization you are going to be pursuing, start with 710. But after that, the traditional PhD students kind of come and go. They have some core classes they'll take together and some of the methods classes they'll take together, but they do not move together as a cohort.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like Rebecca says 9 hours is full-time for graduate programs. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, so does this program accept transfer credits from the other PhD programs? So you can request up to 6 credit hours from another program, but I will say, but with the design of this program, it depends on what you are trying to transfer in terms of what you might be substituting. So if we think about those 6 credit hours per term and how the cohort moves together through the program, we need to see with the admissions counselors or myself or your advisor what courses you would be trying to obtain credit for in terms of the transfer credit in. So that would be on a case-by-case review basis. because we want to make sure that you're able to benefit from all of the courses that are in the program itself. So it has to be something that's very well matched in you're aiming in terms of the learning outcomes and what other skills you're gaining from the courses that are in this program. Okay, and Amy specified to 9 credit hours a semester and 6 in the summer to be considered a full-time graduate student. Other questions?
I have a somewhat very specific question to my case. I know that there were some who said that they were U of L staff members. So I'm a part-time U of L faculty member who I just teach without my PhD. Do you know if there would be any difficulty in participating in both being a part-time faculty member already, as well as pursuing a PhD at the same time?
No, I don't think there would be any problems. We have individuals who are in your situation who are also pursuing. We have a certificate program.
Okay.
We've worked with individuals who are in your situation before, so I don't think it would be a problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions? Hopefully the wheels are turning in terms of what to consider, what to be thinking about. Do you all have questions about what the course sequences are, or kind of the milestones, or how things are going to scaffold towards your dissertation, or who you'll be working with? Blythe?
Hi. So as you know, I'm currently in the master's program. Would I need to finish that out?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, finish the master's program first, because this is 60 credit hours past the master's. So we're assuming that applicants have completed their master's. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't want to be rude. If, if we're just kind of contemplating this, not really sure, can we reach out and just like set up time to come and have a more organic conversation and just
Yes.
see if it's going to be a good fit?
Yes, of course. And I'm going to drop the email address again in the chat, and I'll put my direct one in there as well. Just know that I'm going to give you the one that looks kind of weird for my email address. There's another Casey George at Louisville, so she often gets my messages. So you're going to want the second one, the COGEOR2. That one will come directly to me, or you can email the online PhD _HEA. But I'm happy to set up one-on-one meetings with any of you if you have very specific questions, or you would like to help thinking through your options or what your goals are, how this program might help you achieve those goals. I'm happy to do that. Okay, Brian.
Are we assigned to the research cohorts, or do we choose it, or is it some sort of a conversation on what would be the best suited for us based on our background and interests?
Yes, all of the above. So we are going to be thinking about assigning students as we're reading the application materials. I think some applicants will be pretty apparent as to like what they're interested in terms of placing people into the research labs. But with our faculty, like we all work really well together. And so when a research lab assignment may not be optimal or may need to change, or even as your interests change over time, you can of course change research labs. In year 3, you will have a course for the research lab where you'll be getting course credit for it as well. And that's going to help build into your dissertation. At that point, by year 3, like you would be pretty set in the research lab, but certainly in year 1 and 2, we're anticipating things to fluctuate. And we know that oftentimes some students come into their programs, they have a topic picked out, and then they learn something in class, which we want to have happen, and then they pivot to a new topic. So we'll work with you in terms of your assignment, but initially we'll be basing it off of the application materials, perhaps the interview with you if we interview you, and then other conversations that we may have with you.
Thanks.
And then I see a question about how are the classes sequenced in the summer? So the fall and spring classes are going to be 8 weeks each. In the summer, they are 5 weeks. And if you're familiar with the U of L summer calendar, we're talking about starting in summer 2, which starts in early June and goes to the beginning of July. And then the second summer class would start after that and end in early to mid-August. So you would do 2 5-week courses back to back, with the in-person orientation happening in that first summer class in that first 5 weeks. Other questions? What's something that stands out about this program to you that I talked about? Anything that draws your attention or that you're excited about or that you would like to know more about?
So I am hearing this correctly when you say you can have a full-time job and still do this program, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And a life. We want you to have a life too, and not just work and study.
And on the topic of the more extended analysis paper that had to be submitted as part of the materials,
Yes.
That's not something that you are novelly writing for this application. That is an example of previous work that has already been done.
It could be either. So most of you probably have something already that you've written either through work or through school, through your master's program, maybe something that you worked on or that you led a project on through work. So if you have something existing already, that works. But for some of you who maybe it's been a while since you've been out of school or you want to pick up and practice writing again, you could create something new that's 8 to 10 pages. So I would pick a topic that you're really interested in within higher education and write about that because it'll make it easier for you to do that research and write that paper. But I think we're anticipating that most applicants would already have something that's relatively recent that they can pull from to submit with that analysis essay. Okay, so you're all excited about the research labs, scheduling sounds good. Yes, we wanted to balance asynchronous time with asynchronous class time. So with these synchronous class sessions, we're anticipating that it would be one evening a week, just probably for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but it could also be perhaps on a Sunday afternoon. I think it's going to depend on the cohorts. It's going to depend on time zones. It's going to depend on the faculty member who's teaching it. So we're going to do our best to kind of keep those pretty standardized, but it would be one session per week for that third class. So it's not as if you're being asked to meet Tuesday and Thursday evenings. It would probably be one evening with the faculty member or perhaps one afternoon. Any other questions?
Just to clarify on you said for the comprehensive exam, that's a draft of the dissertation proposal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big comprehensive actual regurgitated information exam.
No.
Okay.
We don't like those here.
Wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes, yes. So the comprehensive exam, which happens in year 3, after you complete your coursework, the way we do it for the traditional students, and we'll do it for you all as well for the online PhD, is you will have a month to write your proposal, but know that you're not starting with a blank screen and a cursor flashing at you when you start that first day of that month, right? So we are anticipating that through your research lab experiences and your course experiences that you will have things to draw on to inform your proposal. So this is a first attempt at the dissertation proposal, and it's a way for us to give you early feedback as your committee members to say, here's what we'd like you to think more deeply about in terms of your research design or the research questions you're asking, or have you thought about this methodology, or when are we going to think about collecting the data and how is that going to work with, say, the academic year cycle if you're collecting data from students. This is like an early feedback mechanism for your dissertation project. And so that comprehensive exam has other purposes other than just saying, do you understand everything that you've learned so far? Right? You're going to incorporate what you've learned, but it is more to build into that dissertation and say, this is what I'm thinking for my proposal. It's about a 30-page paper. So it's also asking you to write succinctly, but then that's your kind of bones that you're going to use to build in towards your dissertation proposal, which is your next milestone. So once you get your feedback on the 30-page paper from your committee, you'll continue to develop those ideas. You might incorporate other literature. You might incorporate a new theoretical framework or tweak the theoretical framework. You'll continue to work on the methodology, and that will then build into your next milestone, which is your dissertation proposal. We believe in multi-purposed, multi-use products here.
Thank you.
Yes. Other questions? I think somebody just started to talk.
For the, I know you said that, it was a big sort of question statement on some of the funding sources, but I mean, is this still an appropriate time in the cycle, to explore those options, or are we off cycle with, the typical seeded program to where that's still something that could be explored?
Sure.
I just know that sometimes the timing is very relevant when it comes to accessing those different sources of funding. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're still in a good timing cycle of the year to be able to compete or explore for those opportunities.
Yes. So some of it depends. So the early applicant kind of preferred application deadline for a traditional PhD, meaning full-time, that you're attending full-time and that you would have access to certain fellowship opportunities, that has passed already, but the regular deadline for the traditional PhD is in February. And you would still be able to tap into some aspects, some assistantships, some other funding mechanisms, but for certain fellowships, they prioritize that in terms of like an earlier fall deadline so that those applications can be reviewed more carefully. So with our January 15th deadline, you could apply to our online program January 15th. You could then apply to the traditional program February for the February deadline and see what happens with both applications. But with that traditional trajectory, you could be eligible for other funding, but just not certain university fellowships. So if you wanted to be eligible for those, you would wait until next fall to apply for the next year. And for the traditional program, those students begin in the fall semesters, not in a summer.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Charlie's pumped. That's great. Kaylee's pumped. Charlie's, thank you. Scheduling looks great. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what will feedback advice look like for the comprehensive exam prior to the start of the writing process? So with your research labs, you are going to be working in those small groups. So you'll be talking about the development of your ideas, not only in your research labs, but we also have classes in year 3 curriculum that will be helping you shape the problem design so that you're not, again, starting from scratch in terms of the comprehensive exam. It's not going to be that blank page on day 1 of that month that you have to write it. So you already will be getting feedback through papers, through your research labs, and through what we call problem analysis in terms of preparing for the comprehensive exam. So for most of us who work with the regular traditional faculty members, we never want you to take the comprehensive exam until you're ready. But with the structure of this program, we know that you're going to be ready and you're going to stay with your cohort in terms of progressing through the program. In terms of the timing of the comprehensive exam, you will be ready and you will already have feedback you'll have informal and formal conversations, formal and informal feedback on prior papers and prior documents and other deliverables that you've been working on so that you will have a good understanding of what's expected from that milestone, but also thinking about like what advice you've been given already from your committee members and the other faculty members within the program. So again, we support your success. We want you to be successful in this program. It's not, we don't want you to get to the point of taking all your courseworks and then the comprehensive exam is not successful. We want it to be a successful outcome for you. So we'll obviously be supporting you to work towards that outcome. I think we've got about 1 minute left if there's any final questions. But if not, thank you so much for spending your time with us today, for learning about this online PhD program. We're very excited about it. Like I said, this is the inaugural information session for the inaugural cohort. We can't wait to get this launched and start working with the students who will be in the program. We hope that includes many of you. But please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or would like to schedule a one-on-one meeting. I'm happy to do that with any and all of you who have attended today.
Yeah, thank you very much for putting this on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
I think any additional questions that I would have would just be too specific to my personal case. So I'll definitely look to reach out. Thank you
Yes,
again.
please do. Thanks, Lance.
Thank you, Dr. George.
Thanks, Jane. Good seeing you. Hi.
Hey, I didn't want to ask any stupid questions because I was a couple minutes late and I don't want
That's
to be
right.
redundant. What was the first 10 minutes of it about that I missed?
Yeah, we can send out the slides. It basically gave the program highlights, an overview of the program, like who it's designed for, how we're structuring the program, just to give you some quick highlights. I can pull the slide back up if you'd like, just so you can look at one of the slides can just give you a brief overview, but I think the slides will be sent out. This shows you like who it's designed for. We're looking for individuals who are maybe more mid-career or who've been working for a while. Like I said towards the end, we're not looking for somebody who's just fresh out of undergrad, who's looking for a PhD, but people who have been working, who are experienced, and who know that they want to be in an upper level administrative position or leadership position at an institution or working with higher education. So even if we think about our state higher education offices or a nonprofit that works with higher education, thinking about those, like I know I want to be in a leadership position. Like that's my aspiration. And I'm already partway there, but this PhD will help me with that goal. And then really emphasizing research and leadership throughout the courses, but definitely emphasizing the research skills and development from year one. I think you might have heard about the online delivery, so you can attend this program from wherever you are in the country. 2 modules will be asynchronous and on your own learning, like within each class, and the third class would be a synchronous session. So it is an online program and that the classes are available online, and then you would have some synchronous sessions for each course, and then you would have a one annual in-person event each year. And then just having that cohort that's going to move with you through the program. There's going to be about 20 to 22 students in each cohort. So you'll be with a reasonable number of other individuals who are also moving through the program at the same rate, and who are also similar to you, have high aspirations for themselves, are really research driven, are creative, are curious. That's who you're going to be surrounded by in terms of that network.
Okay. And then I've skimmed through trying to figure out some of the faculty like research interests or areas of interest. Is there a better way to do that other than just looking at the faculty page?
Yeah. Do you have access to our website? There's the research labs are described on our website. I can put it in hold on just a second.
The cards leadership lab or no?
No, just a second. Let me get it for you.
So many things.
And if you're like me, you have lots and lots of tabs open.
I do not. That makes me anxious. So I don't do that. I like bookmarks. I do have a lot of bookmarks to go back to things I need to, but yeah. One thing I was curious if you know anybody off the top of your head that like is interested in research in like actual like graduate admission, graduate enrollment, marketing, things like that. It's kind of the space I work in right now. So it's something I'm interested in, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like a graduate program and it's hard to find people that are interested in one.
Yes, so like you're kind of doing a little studying of yourself. Yeah, so Dr. Buckley and myself, we've done work on graduate students before. So either of us would be good. I think with here I'm putting the website in the chat for you. With that's going to have the research lab descriptions for the 4 main faculty. But with studying graduate students and kind of their experiences and how students make those decisions and things like that, we've done a little bit of that, but I think part of that is thinking about, would you want to think about it quantitatively or qualitatively? and thinking about the methodological expertise of the individuals that you'll be working with as well.
Yeah.
So if you're leaning of like, I want to do a large scale quant study on this topic, like you might work with myself or Dr. Gross. If you're thinking more of like a nuanced, exploratory, qualitative study where you're trying to understand like people's decision making or what their feelings and perceptions are, that might be more myself or Dr. Buckley.
Yeah. Either way, I'm more curious to be like the changing stuff going on with like especially like master's programs and just like how much they've rapidly grown, the amount of people doing
Mhm.
master's programs these days, a lot more schools
Mhm.
investing in
Yeah.
moving past traditional admission and online marketing type stuff and looking at more like trying to get more students enrolled in master's programs, even now doctoral
Mhm.
programs. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
Weird to think about. So I don't know what that looked like, but okay. So you had people that would okay. Now I'm just
Yeah, I think no
yapping.
matter what the interest is, like we'll find a place for you, right? Like it's not as if, oh, there's a misalignment, like you can't come. Like it's not going to be like that. It's going to be thinking like what ways can we support you in pursuing that topic while you're also gaining like that research skill and the experiences in the research labs. There's certainly going to be plenty of opportunity in your courses to be kind of honing in on building your capacity in that area. So if I think about the courses that I will be teaching, like there will be some flexibility within the classes I'm teaching so that you could pick and choose. I want to know more about topic X, and I'm going to pursue that for this specific final paper in this class, and that's going to help build my interest and my expertise in this area, working towards the dissertation.
Yeah. For dissertation committees, is that something, do they all have to be U of L faculty, or can some of the people be from other institutions?
You can have at least one outside member. It has to be a minimum. It's actually a requirement to have one external member. And that can be external to our program or to the university, but you can have more than one. So you can also think about utilizing the committee, the dissertation committee, which can be involved as early as the comprehensive exam, to help draw on that expertise. So if you have someone in mind who is an expert in that area, you could certainly invite them to serve on this committee. They just need to have a doctorate themselves.
Yeah. I'm assuming regionally accredited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That should be fine. No, I'm involved with the Council of Grad Schools and
Mhm.
NAGAP, so I
Okay.
plenty of people that be interested.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of research already, informal because it's through professional associations and a lot of vendors involved. But
Yeah.
Okay, all things. I think that's all main stuff. This kind of just popped on my radar. I think it was I'm on a higher listserv that I saw come through.
Okay, great.
So
Well, thanks for joining us today.
yeah, sorry I was late.
No, that's okay.
I'll-
And the slides will be sent out to everyone who attended. So the first few minutes that you missed, I mean, I kind of recapped the highlights, but it was just like an overview of the program and how we're like, just one thing to know is like we have our traditional PhD here at the University of Louisville, but like all of the faculty, like we study access and equity and opportunities in higher education. So it's like a couple years ago we got to thinking like could we do this where it's a broader reach where people could be located anywhere around the country and they could still complete a degree with us and still have a research emphasis. So that was kind of the impetus is like our values around opportunity and access and thinking like can we help support individuals who are working in this industry get their PhDs but also not have the expectation that you would disrupt your life and like come to Louisville and relocate your family and stop your career and all those things. So we want you to be able to continue what you already have going on where you're at and add this in.
Yeah. Okay. I know it's an inaugural class, so not a good direct answer. How many do you imagine will be U of L employees? I was like
think
spot
that-
checking everyone in this room, and it looked like about 90% of them were all full-time staff or faculty.
I think this first cohort might lean a little heavier on that, and we do want to broaden that reach. I think this is like right now there's a lot of chatter on campus about the program, so I think that's exciting. But at the same time, we want to have a broad reach across the country. And so when we think about, we're going to have to look at enrollment management, right, and look at like who applies, and then who are we selecting to craft that cohort, so that it is the type of individual that we designed the program for.
Okay. Yeah. I don't work in higher ed. I work I used to.
Yes.
A few years ago. I work for a vendor. We do market research for mainly working professional type programs, a lot of graduate programs. So, so are you looking for people specifically in higher ed or lateral people in lateral positions?
Mainly specifically in higher education, but we also are open to lateral positions. So we had, I don't know if you noticed, a couple of the people on the call were also like military. So
Yeah.
we've had some individuals who have worked with us in the past through ROTC. We have a partnership with Fort Knox because they're right down the road. And so we've helped a lot of ROTC instructors obtain their master's in higher education while teaching ROTC at different colleges and universities around the country. And so some of them are now interested in getting their PhD, but for them, it would be a lateral position change, but also like going from a military career to a civilian career. But they come with tons of
Yeah.
leadership experience. They understand higher education just from a different angle. But we're looking for a variety of individuals. So
Yeah. Okay. And because the goal is to go eventually work at institutional side in the end. When we move back closer to home here, we're in Henderson, Kentucky.
Okay.
A lot of the jobs I was just looking at University of Southern Indiana, University, all the regional universities around us. A lot of just entry level positions that don't pay a lot, and a lot of the ones I was more interested in, the more mid level, upper require doctorate or prefer doctorate, and just something. So,
and I think like we said, working in higher education or with higher education, I think based on what you've told me, like it sounds like you're in proximity, right, to like institution. You're working with different institutions, but you're not housed at a specific college or university, which is fine. Like we would welcome that for sure.
Yeah. It's different. I got stolen. I went to a conference. Actually, it's the Council of Grad Schools, and a vendor, when we went back home and have a job, they reached out and said, we actually are looking for somebody who's worked in a graduate admissions office to do some project management. So it worked out for now. So
yeah, good.
Unexpected. Okay, I'm gonna stop yapping now because so you can go. I appreciate answering all my random questions.
Yes, of course. And if you have other random questions, feel free to reach out. But it was nice meeting you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Have a good day.